Welcome to Phil and Ted's Sexy Boomer Show. I'm Ted Bonnet, and Phil's not here. Phil's coming in, though. He's in the ether, and we're just bringing him in now. This is the place for sexy boomers, and we really have someone who personifies a sexy boomer with us today. Nikki Nash.
Yay.
Hey, Nikki, how are you?
I'm thrilled to be here.
Oh, well, we're really thrilled to have you.
Be nice if, Phil were here.
Oh, he'll show up. He likes to be late.
Fashionable.
Yeah, he's fashionable. You wrote a memoir.
Yes.
Called?
Collateral Stardust.
It's a great name.
And the subtitle is Chasing Warren Beatty and Other Foolish Things.
Yes, and you did chase Warren Beatty. You saw a movie, obviously.
Yeah.
And you just realized this was the man who you were going to make your life with.
Yes.
You were quintessential Valley girl. We're going to talk all about how the Black Panthers came over to your house and how the FBI was checking you out. This was your childhood.
Which we thought was perfectly normal.
Yeah, right. And then you go on to follow your fixation on Warren Beatty, and then you meet him. Mm-hmm. And then you go on to a lifelong relationship with him.
Yeah.
Dreams can come true in the Valley.
Well, when you have big dreams like that, it's important, to follow your goals.
One of the things I think is so wonderful about your book is that it's light and fun to read. It's one of those page turners. And at the same time, there's a lot of substance to it. We're roughly the same age. And when you reflect on your childhood, it completely takes me back to the 60s and the 70s in a really nice way. Hello?
Hi, this is the other half of Phil and Ted.
Hey, Phil.
Hi, Ted.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm kind of on vacation here in Lewis, Delaware, doing a remote with you. Of course, I loved the book, Nikki, as I told you on your website, but it was not a page turner. It was a page swiper, because I was reading it electronically. Okay.
I'm so glad you read it.
Well, yes, and which is a challenge for somebody like me with macular degeneration. But what I couldn't make out, I just made up.
Well, good. Yeah.
But the main thing that astonished me about your story is how many people I personally knew in your story. And did we ever meet?
Yes, and I cannot remember where it was. I think it might have been, maybe in the
Was it in that
80s.
hospital in Mexico?
Nothing in Mexico.
Oh, good.
A hospital in
good.
Mexico?
No. Did I give you an organ? What was that? I know there are so many circles with all these people and you guys and
Martin Mull.
Yeah, Martin Mull.
You had a television career as well. Your first job in television was working
Mary
as
Hartman.
Mary Hartman.
Yeah.
Right. Which is fantastic. I mean, what an entree.
Oh, it
That must
was
have
great.
jaded you forever.
It was so ahead of its time anyway. It was just so great. And then, meeting Martin there, and he was so adorable, and I was such a bad girlfriend. And Dabney Coleman. And
Dabney. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
What a great crew.
God, he was wonderful. But yeah, Louise Lasser, part of my job was, as a runner, getting her pharmaceuticals, or she wouldn't come out of her dressing room. So,
Was her character typecasting?
No, I think she was just sort of odd. Give her the words, and they just seemed appropriate for the situation,
By the way, I wanted to ask you, did you get to know Jay Johnson at all while you were on the show?
Was he on Soap, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the same kind of crazy circle of
Yeah, we were all there at KTLA, and I would cross paths with some, Billy Crystal, and it's
It was great. I mean, really, that when the Firesign Theater began and we're signed to Columbia Records, we had the same kind of experience. We felt like we were part of one big family.
Yeah.
And in a way, we were.
True.
Because we met so many people so easily, and we were all creative. We were all, on our own creative paths, and we shared the excitement and enjoyment and love that came out of this kind of very special time. And I'm so glad that you had an opportunity to engage in it in really on a national level. which is really fun, isn't it?
It's so fun. And just, I was talking to someone the other day about, I'm sure every generation thinks that their generation was so great to live through, but I'm so glad I was alive in the 60s. I think
I agree.
to go from bouffant and pointy bras to, the later 60s.
Hippie.
Yes.
I still have my pointy bras. They're in a museum with my old acid. Right?
Oh, God.
So you came of age during the 60s, and that was a lot of, we're going to get to Warren Beatty.
We will get to Warren
Oh, we're
Beatty.
going to get to Warren Beatty.
Oh, yeah.
But the setup of your family and growing up in Tarzana, I want to read something quick from your book. We were the only family on the block, as far as I could tell, to have the FBI drive slowly back and forth in front of our house. Not all the time, just when my parents had parties, and we had a lot of parties. I asked my mom why the FBI was driving by, and she explained that the government was watching us. Which turned out to be true. Yeah. Tell us about your parents. What kind of people were they to have these kind of parties, which included the Black Panthers, among others?
Yeah, they were, I think my dad he was a musician, trombone player, and he was a good guy and very nice and kind of went along with things. He was very attractive and just charismatic. I think my mother was very smart and also at that age, that's what you did. You got married at 20, got pregnant. And I think she was a little squashed in her life. So she got involved with politics and, through musicians, we called him Johnny, but John Williams, Henry Mancini, and a lot of that group. And then when they kind of moved out, Don Freed, Mark Lane, my mom got involved with Operation Bootstrap, which was a job training center in South LA. And so we would go down to Watts and hang out for rap sessions, my brothers and I.
Wow.
And they'd bring their Legos and we'd hang out. And so then, the Valley had a pretty liberal bent. And so we had fundraisers for the Black Panthers. And I remember going out drinking with Huey Newton and my mom and his bodyguard. And
Wow.
I was 14, but we'd go to the fireside chat there on Ventura. And
Wow.
And Eldridge Cleaver came over for dinner one time. But the parties were every weekend. And Friday night, everyone show up, party, drink, cook, And then by Monday morning, just everyone's asleep on the floor. And my brothers and I would go to school.
Wow. So you really did live the 60s from... Yeah. I mean, another part of your book says there were cars of actors and reporters, as well as a rogue door-to-door Fuller Brush man on foot who had seen all the cars and rang the doorbell thinking someone might need some brushes or other household items. He was used to the door being closed in his face, but at our house, he was invited in and stayed for the weekend.
Exactly. Yes, anybody that wanted to show up just came, and they became, this strange family like you were talking about of odd people,
Very democratic. It was a very democratic time.
Yes. Yeah,
Wow.
unless you were like a football player, and then my mom assumed you were a fascist. So she had some boundaries there.
The helmet.
Yeah, you were talking about music playing, Grazing in the Grass is a gas, Baby Can You Dig It, and Sergio Mendes, Brazil 66.
So much dancing in dancing.
In the living room.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And naked swimming in the pool. At least your father, right?
My dad loved to be naked in front of the nuns, in front of anybody. He just, any chance. Yeah, that's where I got the nuns habit.
Oh.
That I would buy liquor with.
Underage.
Yeah.
Wow.
Plays an important part in your upbringing. And who is it that you picked up in your nun's habit with a car? Ben?
Oh, Ben Stein?
Oh, yes, right, yeah.
I did a commercial. I did a commercial with Ben Stein.
Did you? Yeah. It was so perfect because my boss at Mary Hartman knew I had costumes and the nun's habit because I put it on my resume like it was an important feature for a runner. And so she said, go pick up Ben Stein at the airport, put on your nun's habit, make a little sign. And so I did. I stood there with the other guys in black and white with their little signs. And I didn't know what he looked like. I figured he'd see his name. So he just came up to me and he looked at me. And I looked at him. I took a suitcase and we walked to my car and we didn't speak the entire time until later when he absolutely loved it.
And he was a scriptwriter for Richard Nixon.
Well, oh, gosh, yeah.
I mean, because I worked with him on a commercial once for Demi Moore's Striptease. And we were waiting for an approval from the studio he was doing a very droll guy talking about seeing Demi Moore expose her breasts for the first time. And we were waiting for the studio to approve the spot. So it was raining really hard, and we just went out, got in my car, drove into a gas station, and just talked in the driving rain for like an hour about working at the White House. Fascinating guy. Brilliant.
Wow.
Yeah.
Really brilliant.
Yeah, brilliant.
So you picked him up at the airport.
I did, yes, yeah. And then I saw him 30 years later, and he remembered. And
everything.
Yeah, we had a great little reunion.
I bet.
So, yeah.
Nikki, I have to tell you, that's one of the things that is so mind-boggling about your book, and one of the reasons I recommend it to everybody. It's a time travel trip.
Yes, it is.
It really is. I wouldn't know quite how to categorize your book. It's autobiographical, but it somehow feels like you're involved in a romantic mystery
Yeah.
of sorts. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you're so very personal about everything that you write that you really feel like you're reading. I guess like I'm reading your diary or something. You know?
I think I like that you said that, even mentioned autobiography too, because it's hard to pin it down because it is sort of historical. And
Yeah.
I really wanted to avoid a memoir that did like, and then I did this, and then I did this, and aren't I fascinating? And I did this. So I knew the only way to make it what you just said was to dig deeper and expose some painful things, which is, and set up a story. I mean, Warren is sort of the through line, but the rest is all just haphazard ridiculousness, you know?
It is. I tell you, it's one of the most intimate stories I've ever read. And I mean that in a very wonderful way.
Ah, I'm happy to hear that.
Well, let's talk about your obsession with Warren Beatty. You had seen him in a movie.
Splendor in the Grass. Yeah, I remember I was, depressed in the den watching TV as always. And, 13, didn't know, why my mom was distant. And my dad liked my high school friends and junior high. And so I just was watching TV and that came on. And I went, that's the solution. I am going to have him in my life. That will do it. That will make it all worthwhile.
Your loneliness and your uncertainties and your growing sexual feelings and all love and all of that. Yeah.
But you didn't drop it. You pursued it. You went and got a job at a restaurant, The Old World in Beverly Hills?
Yes.
That you knew he frequented.
I was very cunning. I mean, I just, at 16, I met him at a Bob Altman party. He came into the kitchen, and that voice, he asked me for a glass. It was just the two of us in the kitchen. I handed him a glass, but I looked away because I knew I was still too young. I knew I had a plan, but the plan wasn't supposed to start at 16. So I ignored him. He went away. And then, I got a job at the Old World because a waiter there said, guess who else comes in? And Warren Beatty went, oh, maybe I'll get a job here. And
So here's how you met him. From your book, Nash, Looking Good, Mitch said, which meant I looked like crap. Your boss?
Manager.
I had no makeup on, I hadn't washed my hair, and my armpits smelled like cilantro. Thinking about my armpits just made me sweat more, and I was sure Mitch would soon ask, what's that smell? I was wearing corduroy bell-bottoms, a flowered polyester shirt, and platform shoes. Mitch had a mustache, feathered blonde hair, and was also wearing platform shoes. We looked like we were going to a 70s costume party, except there was no party, and these weren't costumes. It was the 70s, 1974. And that's when Beatty walks in, when you're like feeling completely...
The one day out of a year and a half of working there waiting for him, the one day I'd broken my finger in a judo class, I didn't have time to shower, I was freaked out, on my hands in a glass of ice, I'm walking around, hair back, and I come around the corner and he's sitting there. A year and a half it took him, and he was just like reading the paper, and I really just wanted to turn... This was not the plan I had,
Yeah. How old were you then? This is
19.
So you're 19 when you meet him on sort of adult terms.
Yes.
Okay. So what happened?
So I come around the corner, and so again, I try to just look as bland as possible, and I bring a menu with my glass and ice, and I set it down, and I said, your waiter will be within, and I turn around and I walk away, and then he just says, oh, miss, and I went, oh no, please don't talk to me, and then I turned around. And he said, so what's your name? And I told him, and how long have you been working? I didn't tell him the story. Oh, I've been here a year and a half waiting for you to come in. I just played it cool because I didn't know what else to do but be myself. And so then I went back to the back of the restaurant. I'm like dying. And but then when I came out, he was gone. So,
That was it?
Yeah.
That was your...
Until 2 weeks later.
Oh, okay. Go on.
So I think, okay, I got to get another job, take, my life seriously. This is stupid. Good money after bad kind of thing. And this big last party comes in, 10 people, and the last person in the group was Warren, and they get a big table. Waiter is waiting on them. And I'm like, oh my God, oh my God. And so I walk past, just ignoring them, to go to the bathroom, and Warren goes, oh, Nikki. I'm like, hi. And he goes, how's your finger? I said, oh, it's doing better. Thanks so much. How's your meal? And he said, it was good. Thanks very much. I said, okay. And then I go back to the front. He's paying the bill. And he said, so what are you doing later? Which I'm sure he said 8 billion times in his life. But I said, well, I'm going to the luau with Steve and Mitch from the restaurant here. And he goes, oh. Are you going to the luau? And how long are you going to be there? And I said, what are you doing after? I said, well, I'm going home. And I said it like with this question mark, like, oh, God, pathetic. Don't make it a possibility for him. You're supposed to try harder to be hard to get. So I'm at the luau, and I'm drinking wine secretly, pushing it back to him because I'm underage. And the bartender looks at me. I go, great, I'm busted for the wine. But he hands me the phone. And he said, are you Nikki? I said, yeah. I take the phone. It's Warren. He said, so, are you still there? I go, well, yeah, I'm on the phone with you. He said, will you come over? I said, of course. And that was it. I walked over to the Beverly Wilshire, a couple blocks away.
He lived at the hotel.
Yeah.
And this was the beginning of a beautiful friendship.
It certainly, yes, it was, yeah. So
wow.
It was fantastic. He's always been really, really kind.
And you talk about it in your book. Yeah, he was a womanizer, but he just loved women.
Yes.
As you portray it, there's no ill will at all. It was just the times.
He was a gentleman.
Yeah.
I never had a chance to meet Warren, but his reputation was very, very good, from my remembrance. I think we were all a little jealous of him, frankly, right?
Yeah,
he's a good-looking guy. He was a good actor, and he seemed to be, on a straight path. He was kind and, a good role model.
It was not uncommon for this kind of behavior.
Wild behavior was accepted.
Right. It was before AIDS. It was before sex equaled death and kind of risk.
Right.
It was a free time.
But you hit it on the head by saying, he just loved women. Because it was never sleazy or anything. He didn't drink. He was very healthy, and I think he loved that expression and having it back. So,
and being that good looking doesn't hurt.
Well, he wasn't he? I think people said he was attractive.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assumption.
Yeah, but then you also had a relationship with Robert Hayes, who's another friend of mine.
Oh, I love Robert.
Right, who is also a very good-looking man with a tremendous sense of humor.
Yes. How do you know him? How do you know Robert?
Well, through the Firesign Theater and Airplane.
Oh, right.
The people that I've known, I wrote a book of my experiences called "Where's My Fortune Cookie," but it's not anywhere near as intimate as yours. But I knew so many people at that time, again, because it was kind of a open bohemian family style world. You could get stoned with big stars, and it was okay. It was just friendly. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Nobody had a phone to keep documenting everything, and it would show up the next day somewhere.
It was personal. You're right, and private.
Yeah.
That's a really important point. Before we became a full-fledged surveillance society, I think probably put a dent in spontaneity in certain kind of relationships.
I agree, and you have to look out, go out being Instagram ready. You can't just mess around with your pals and say and do what you want.
Speaking of which, when you were hanging out with Warren, who was good buddies with Jack Nicholson, the three of you. Yeah. As you called it, a platonic threesome. And the three of you would just hang out, and they were fully comfortable with you, and they were in their prime having a ball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think because I didn't look like I was star crazy, and I was bright, and also knew how to get my needs met without making them look like my needs were getting met. So it was easy to hang out with me. So I would go over with Warren to Jack's house, and we'd stay over and watch Monday night or Sunday morning football. And just hang out with the three of us watching football. They're talking, and I would have these out of body experiences, like, well, wait, what am I doing
Where am I?
I'm just hanging out with them, like, So, and then Warren got involved with another movie, and I guess maybe Jack was between women, so he called me and took me to a Lakers game, and then invited me over for dinner at his house. That it was probably right where you live, Phil. And
Nearby, yeah.
And he had a cook who made food for us. Then he put on some music, and we were slow dancing. And I thought, I wasn't into him. I didn't know what was going on, because I guess this is his routine.
How old are you at this point?
20.
Okay, and he's not much older, right?
Well, he's probably, in his late 30s if he was, Warren was. So,
right.
So then nothing happened. And then he invited me over for a dinner party. Which...
No, this is a really out there experience. You got a call. By the way, we're speaking to Nikki Nash, our guest today on the Phil and Ted Sexy Boomer Show. Yeah, you've heard it. And and the book is called Collateral Stardust. It's your memoir of this wild life you were born into in L.A., just at the right time in the 60s.
Yeah.
Well, you were born earlier than that, but you came of age in the 60s and 70s. Warren is out working a movie, and Jack Nicholson calls you and invites you out of the blue to come up to have dinner at his house, and you go.
Yeah, it's a dinner party, and I'm praying Warren isn't there. I think he's dating, Diane Keaton or something, and I thought that would be awkward since he's my big crush, but he was off. So I show up, and I'm early, and, Jack and I are sitting around, people start showing up, and for this, 3 other couples, and it's Michael Douglas and his wife, Michael Caine and his wife, and Sean Connery and his wife.
Sean Connery.
And, we're just sitting around, and then Jack was like, well, Nikki, tell them that story about when you were skydiving. You told me on the phone. And so I launch into this near-death experience, skydiving, as if I'm a raconteur of the world, and these are all my friends, and of course I would do it. But, again, out of body experience.
Well, you did nearly die.
Well, I did, yes.
Skydiving. It was a good story.
Yes.
And it happened twice,
Yes,
right?
it did.
Yeah. You do it once wasn't enough, was
it? What a silly girl. You almost died, and she said, I better try this
Let me do
again.
this again.
One more, yeah. So what did I do? Yeah, sure.
And it happens again.
Yeah.
Wow.
It points out the fact that these are real people, And your book exposes the fact that you were involved in the lives of these very successful, real people, who managed to keep their wits about them for the most part.
Yeah, very professional.
A townie in a company town.
Yeah, it was very brave of you, really, to when you were put into these situations, to be able to rise to the occasion. But then you studied acting for 10 years, right?
Right. Yeah. So, yeah.
You were working on your own career, and you had some interesting jobs. Dennis Miller.
Yes, I did work on his show, and I think he's the only person on the planet who's afraid of me.
Yeah. You see the best in people. At the same time, Dennis Miller really tested you, didn't he? Yes,
yeah. And I had to look at my parts, in that situation where I was judging the people. But anyway, with Dennis, he was that later talk show, the one with all the rants, the screeds and stuff.
When he went conservative.
Yeah, but he just complained all the time. And one time he just kept complaining about how cold it was in the studio. Everyone was afraid of him, so no one did anything. And he would always hear him on the mic, God, how cold does it have to be? Blah, 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 blah. Like 2 weeks of this. Nobody's picking up the phone. No one's making it warmer. And so finally, I had a large coat on the back of my chair. I just get up, I open the door to the stage, I walk over to him, I put it on his shoulders, pat him, like a father, and walk out. And he's like, what was that?
It says right here in your book, it said, what the, he said, who sent Mrs. Sonny Barger out here? Sonny Barger was the founder of the Oakland Hells Angels, and I have tattoos down my forearms and my hands, so there you go.
Yeah, so I was, he always said, don't send Mrs. Sonny Barger out here again. He was just afraid of me. So,
But, but you have a very warm personality. You're an inviting person. So I could see how all these people would open up to you. And you talk about meeting Tommy Lee.
yes.
In 1993, and because your husband at the time was laying down harmonica tracks
Yes.
for Motley Crue's studio album, and he brought you along and dumped you in the recording booth, as you wrote, to hang out with Tommy Lee. While the other musicians were setting up, Tommy was married as well to Heather Locklear. What happened?
Well, I'm just there, and just me and Tommy, and so we're sitting down, and he said, can I talk to you about something? I said, well, sure. I mean, I've never met this man, but he just said, what is happening? I'm with Heather, and I just don't seem to be able to make her happy. I got her a house. There was a lot more swearing. I'm leaving that part out. And he just started, and I'm trying to listen, compassionately to his tale of woe. And she gets mad when I stay at a hotel. What am I supposed to do? She wants me to crash on the freeway. Anyway, so I'm listening, compassionate. Here I am with Tommy Lee while he tells his tale of woe, of course. And then I look over his shoulder, and there is a full-on color photo of a vagina, just legs spread, just that part. Mm-hmm. And I start to look around casually. They are everywhere, on the glass, on the, over the mixing. And I realized that must have been what got their motor running when they laid down their track.
Was in a recording studio? Was that where this was happening?
Yeah, where they did the vagina monologues.
Yeah, that was the beginning of the vagina monologues. Tommy Lee wrote that, by the way. You probably didn't know the vagina monologues.
I did not know that.
Yeah. It's wonderful. So.
Wow. Okay. Well, the list just goes on and on. This is fascinating.
I think, Nikki, it must have been your personality.
Yeah.
Felt that they could talk personally with you about their intimate lives.
That's
so
happened.
What's that all about,
Yeah. It seems like that happens wherever I go, whether people are famous or not. They just sort of, let me tell you something. Okay.
Why, this is your first book, correct?
I wrote another one which I self-published, which is called 72 Raisins.
Ooh.
Yeah, like this book, too. I think we're seekers. I mean, there are a bunch of chapters of trying, whether it's drugs or meditation or gravity boots or, IV before surgery, whatever it is that takes you out for a brief moment is something I want. So I always play around with having faith. Do you not have faith? What tribe do you want to belong to? Or are you a lone wolf? Yeah. And just 72 Raisins, I remember reading that in the Quran it was mistranslated, and it's not 72 virgins, it's 72 raisins. Which,
there's a little bit of a difference there, I
yeah,
think.
so if you're going to, martyr and die for 72 raisins, that's a commitment.
You grew up in the rock and roll drug craze days of the 60s and the 70s, so it's inevitable that you brushed with it. It did challenge you at times, didn't it?
Yeah. I think a lot of that were kind of genetically predisposed,
Yes.
And my mother drank and was also depressed, and I learned to have compassion for that life that she ended up. I mean, it was hard, and my grandmother the same. Was a big drinker, kind of depressed, and so I think it came naturally. You combine that with a kind of loneliness,
but part of that too was your relationship with your mother, who seemed to be somewhat aloof and distant to you. Even in such a liberal household with a musician husband, all these incredible people coming over because of their two personalities, your mother seemed to be not happy.
Yeah.
What did you observe, and how did that affect you?
I mean, from this age and standpoint, and after having written the book, which was somewhat transformational, because it is good to see things with different eyes. She liked very dark things, dark movies. She stayed in her room a lot. She could be social if she had planned to, like the weekend parties and everything. She loved all that. But then she would shut it down. And I think I ended up spending a lot of time in my room. I think that was the safest place because I didn't have to try to negotiate getting love from her. I just sort of, and then investigated my own things, crystal balls or Edgar Cayce or, try to find a way to fill yourself. And I think that's what Warren was. It was another future that would fill me.
Yeah.
So
interesting. You did something that we all did in that day. You watched a lot of television. We watched the same shows, by the way. Your mother asked you once why you watched so much TV. And I said in my moody and rebellious teenage voice, to escape from reality. She glared at me and said in her moody, hostile voice, "What's wrong with your reality, miss?" Asked and answer. But there was only so much TV I could watch and only so many cookies I could eat before the gnawing, unsettled feelings of emotional hunger and despair found their way to the surface. My need to be held and to be loved, to be myself. Instead, I kept it up with a constant monitoring of my mother's moods until it felt safe to be me, a habit I fine-tuned and employed with others for years, which I felt protective and exhausting. And you went to see Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah.
Or I don't know if you saw it in a theater or you saw it on
At the theater,
At the theater. And this is a really telling moment with your mother because you came out and you were bawling. It hit you so emotionally. And you wrote, "Once in the car and between my muffled, wet sobbing, I said, 'I'm so sad.' And your mother said, 'Why?' and lit a Pall Mall cigarette. And you wrote, 'They loved each other so much. That's all they wanted, and they couldn't have it. Their love died with them.' And I was sobbing again. And your mother says, 'There's Kleenex in the glove compartment,' and picked a fleck of tobacco from her tongue." God, I haven't seen that in years. So 60s. I found the tissues in their Pan Am wrapping, those little 4 cigarette packs they used to hand out on aircraft. And you blew your nose, and your mom said, "It's teenage hormones," as if she just solved the problem.
Yeah,
Thank you very next.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But you also had a problem with alcoholism, which you're very honest about. I tell you that I hope that this book reaches a wide audience because I think it resonates with so many young people, not only from that time but today, who are facing the same kind of challenges and problems. Now, you dealt with your alcoholism in a very interesting way. You went to a mastery class or a master's class, and you went into improv.
Yes.
Yeah, that sounded like that didn't go all too well.
The quest for God was one way to be right, but you being an actress and an artist and being around artistic people, you made that choice, and those stories are amazing.
Oh, I'm so thrilled to hear you say that, especially about young people reading the book. And I'm not trying to promote it, but I'm saying I think that's in my heart, too, that we're all human and we all struggle with things that are hard. And I think the reason I'm so baldly honest is because that's the only way true comfort can be had. Anyone can relate to it because we have those pains, maybe in a different time. But I really, in a way, wanted it to be a little like a primer for people coming up now that are confused or lost. It's like
it worked. I definitely got that vibe, and it was one of the things that kept me absolutely captivated by the story. All right, and now, so did you? Was Alcoholics Anonymous part of your adventure, or did you do this all by yourself when you got off the booze?
I went to AA for a while, and it was exactly what I needed, and I didn't stay forever. But it's funny, with the improv, I think all these things are some deeper part of ourselves that want to become human, and we keep trying to find ways to join humanity, and maybe like improv and those things. I was horrible at it. I was so shut down. I was so closed off. It's like...
You talk about when you were at the Groundlings.
Yes, here's the file you ordered, Dr. Nash. I didn't order a file. Okay.
End scene.
We're done. Thank
End
you.
Scene.
So never say no.
Yes.
Always say yes. Right.
Add information. Love the premise.
Violated the very first rule of improvisation.
No, I just screwed it up completely. I was so closed off. So all those things kind of cracked my shell, and a part of me must have sought them out just for that reason.
What was the mastery? A weekend growth experience like EST?
our friend, David Cameron.
Yes.
I was dating him.
Yes.
And he's in the book, but that's not his name in the book. And he said, oh, you might like the mastery. So it was one of those things, but you could go home at night. But
As opposed to est, right?
yeah, yeah. It was...
So it was like it was daycare rather than...
Yeah, it was daycare. It wasn't a getaway. Yeah, but that was hard because the back row, the wise people, I thought I was just perfect and everyone else here needed help. And when it was my turn to get up there and have them analyze me from the monologue I did, or how I walked or whatever, Paula said, Nikki, you're very nice. And I said, well, thank you. She goes, that's not a compliment.
That's right.
And she went on to rip me apart, how I didn't let anyone in, how I used being nice as a manipulative way of being accepted and approved of, not making waves. I mean, I learned all that with my mom. You just keep it as quiet as you can. And so in this est-like thing, my job for the weekend was I had to be a bitch the whole time. I had to just demand things, tell people to leave me alone, and it was horrifying and thrilling,
Cathartic, liberating.
Yes.
Yeah. So it did help you ultimately.
Yeah. I mean, I knew these people knew I was doing that, so it helped. But to break free from the guarded way I went through life.
We're talking to Nikki Nash, author of her memoir, Collateral Stardust, here on The Sexy Boomer Show. By the way, you can check out all the Sexy Boomer shows at sexyboomershow.com. It's so great to have you here.
I'm having a blast.
Good. One of the many upshots of the book is that you have a life well lived, and at the same time, you didn't deny reality. You embraced the challenges.
That's right.
Everybody says, and I'm feeling it, as you get older, you get happier. Do you feel happier?
Oh, very much so.
Did you go through what they call the U of life, like where you're like we all were ecstatically, euphorically happy at 19, 20, and then at 40 suddenly it gets real, and then you slowly dig yourself out of that into a point where you can relax when you hit your 50s, 60s. I mean, this is classic boomer, right?
Right. Yes. And I add on to that. I have a running joke with a couple of friends that, if something goes wrong, or the cat just tore that up or whatever, you'll be dead in 3 years. We always say you'll be dead in 3 years. It starts
We're all
fresh.
going to die.
Yeah, I was just going to say Joni Ernst.
But at the 3 years starts fresh every day. So
Yeah.
So
And you do feel that.
Well, I mean, it's a good way to approach things.
Sure.
How important is anything? I think that helped me write the book, that it wasn't like I have some legacy to leave or it's going to affect my reputation or anything.
Right.
And then you actually dedicate the last chapter to this kind of existential reality.
Yeah.
Right? That
we all die.
We all die. And there's a wonderful, wonderful segment about last words. And I have to share something with you that I just heard. One of my friends was Timothy Leary. And you know what his last words were?
What?
Of course.
Wow, that could be anything.
That's what I love about it.
Yeah.
Was it like he saw the whole secret to the universe? And he said, of course, it's that simple.
Evidently, according to Walter Isaacson, Steve Jobs' last words were, wow.
Yeah, there you go.
Gee.
Yeah. So that's something to look forward to.
Yeah, can't wait to see it.
I'm not in any hurry.
Tell nobody about it.
It is another adventure, and it will come to us all. And you can write about it in your next incarnation.
Okay, I will.
Now, as life went on, your relationship with Warren Beatty continued. You actually developed what seemed to be a pretty deep connection with him, for what it was. One indicator of how your relationship with him changed as you both aged was he had a trademark expression, good evening.
Yes.
I mean, how did he say that?
Good evening. I can't do that low, but good evening. It sort of held promise. It held excitement to hear from you. I know where this is going,
So when he would call you...
I would call him.
You would call him?
Believe me, I called him most of the time. If he did anything, it was he answered the phone.
Right.
So he always knew it was me. So yeah, the good evening.
Good evening. And that just shot the dopamine.
You hear that, and it's like, I didn't even know where it was going to go. Sometimes it was just the dumb, sexy talk on the phone, and then, let's talk later, and he'd hang up. And, and that was enough. Like you said, the little hit, little monkey.
Pavlovian.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, that's all I needed.
But as you got older, things changed. You went separate ways in some sense, but you maintained a friendship, a special kind of friendship.
I used him as sort of a vehicle through my life and a barometer of change. The way I was, Svengali, he was to me, and then to an equal. And I was the one that planned this. So but then the one time I just felt like, I was working at Conan, and I used to call him at lunch because I'd get bored. I mean, that's the kind of relationship I had with Warren at that point. I'm bored, I'll call Warren. And he would tell me stories about, his life. And then he said, oh, call me back. I got to do something. I said, okay. So I called him back at 3 p.m. He picks up the phone. He says, good evening. I said, Warren, it's 3 p.m. This is not going anywhere. You're married. We have not seen each other in years. How can I have a friendship with someone who doesn't even know what time it is? Are you just good evening? And so I just said, I don't know. And we talked the next day. I said, I don't know. Maybe this is the end for me because this doesn't feel real. I am a person. You're a person. You keep falling into this habit of doing the seductive thing, which is going to go nowhere. We're not there. You're not there. And so then that was it. And 2 years later, I didn't talk to him for 2 years, didn't call him. And then I got bored. And I thought, well, I'm not doing anything. I'll call Warren. So I called him. He picks up the phone and says, Happy Halloween.
So he remembered.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and all was forgiven.
He sounds charming.
He was. I mean, he still is. He's a good person. And in fact, early on.
That's the question I wanted to ask you.
Yeah.
Because he's still around. Did you consult with him when you wrote this book?
I did. In fact, I'd sent it to him about 3 years ago, an earlier iteration, and I guess he didn't get it, or we didn't talk that much, or he forgot about it, or I don't know what. But then last year when it was going to be published, I felt, I due diligence. I want to make sure this is cool with him because I would never want to put him in an uncomfortable position. He's been nothing but kind to me. He's married. It's a different world. So
right.
I called him and I said, this is happening. And he said, well, what do I know about this? And I said, well, I sent you the book 2 years ago. And so I never got it. So I printed it out. He goes, let's bring it over. So I hadn't seen him in 5 years. I drive over to his house, think I'm just going to dump this, with the intern. And I go in and, and there's Annette and...
his wife, Annette Benning, of 32 years or something.
Yeah, and just lovely. And I gave him the book. He said he just, he would read it. And he called me, we had a nice chat. It was, not weighted with anything. It was just like, here I am, just chatting.
Good.
And then he called me and he had some notes. One was with the subtitle and a few other notes, and I appreciated them, and I made the changes. And
well, that's sweet because I think it's evident when you read the book, you're not exploiting it. This is not a tell-all book
at all. Yeah.
In fact,
I'll bet you think this book is about you.
So basically, what happened? You became an old unmarried couple.
Yeah.
But settled in a nice way.
Yeah.
And I think it's a real credit to your personality, that in your spirit, that you maintain long-term relationships, and especially with him, and probably Jack, if he could remember your phone number.
Right. I never slept with Jack, just so you know.
Okay, and what are you doing now, Nikki?
I am living my life. I paint. I am working on another book. I see friends. I try to remember people's names.
Yeah, right. Join the crowd.
Yeah, I know. It's like, the guy with the red...
Join the crowd.
Yeah, I know. It's like, the guy with the red thing that was in the... Anyway.
Yeah, right. I know.
But,
And the painting thing is interesting because in your book, you actually like kind of made up the fact that you were painting once when you were on the phone, right?
Yeah.
Right? And so now you're really painting.
I was trying to paint back then, but I definitely tried to
Dabbled
make
in it,
seem
as you
more
wrote.
important. But
I dabbled.
yes, I dabbled. I'm just dabbling. Like, who says dabbling? I need a cigarette holder. What am I?
It's a painting term.
Yeah.
And
Dabble the canvas, you know.
you've been sober now for 40 years?
42, I think, something. Yeah.
Wow. Congratulations.
Although, if there's any opportunity for any kind of surgery, I am in, because it usually gets
You like the
IV Valium
Well,
drip. I mean, in fact, one time I was getting a colonoscopy because that's exciting.
In the book, folks.
This is a chapter called Altered States.
Altered states,
Yep,
yeah. And
yep.
so I'm getting colonoscopy. The doctor says, hey, the anesthesiologist will be right in. She'll go through everything with you. She comes in. I'm Dr. Blah, blah. I said, hi, just let you know, I've been sober a long time. And this whole count backwards thing, and I'm out in 3 seconds. Can you stretch that out like 15 seconds maybe? And she said, I'm sober too. I get it. I'll give you a good ride. And she did.
You say in the book about when you got fooled about the saline.
Yes.
You thought you were getting buzzed before procedure,
Yeah.
and it was just saline.
That's what's
So you
fascinating about
completely,
the brain,
you completely fooled yourself. You said in your book, this left me with one remaining option for getting any nice IV buzz, colonoscopies. And after that first colonoscopy, my doctor had recommended I get one every 3 years. But to err on the side of caution, I'm thinking maybe every Friday.
Yeah, you took the back way to ecstasy.
Yes,
So your book is called Collateral Stardust. When does it come out?
Thanks for asking.
Yes.
It comes out August 19th, and Brian Kiley, who was a head writer on Conan, great stand-up, great guy, he's going to be with me at Book Soup August 22nd
Wow,
in
wonderful.
Hollywood. We're going to have the book launch party there because I worked with him on Conan for years, and so come on out,
We're so honored. This is your first interview for the
This
book.
is my first one,
This is
you
your very
guys.
And it's the 22nd of August, right?
Thank you for repeating that. Yes, 7 p.m.
7 p.m. Thank you for coming to
Thanks
do this.
for having me
Wow,
and being
thanks
so
for-
gentle.
Oh, thanks for such a wonderful story. This book deserves some real success, and we
I
wish
think
you
had
all
some
of that.
great- You're a heroine in my book.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. As always, you can hear all of our shows at sexyboomershow.com. Have a great week, folks.